Don't worry about the audio, don't worry about the video, don't worry about the actor's performance. Don't even record, just fix it in post.
Welcome to the Guts Creativity Action podcast. Would you be so kind as to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I'm Leanne Bausman. I've been in the Peace region for most of my life, and I've been in the film industry now for about 7 years.
Okay, 7 years. That's quite a career so far.
Yeah. It was like 7 years, I believe. Probably easier for me. I started out with photography, and so it's weird sometimes when you say the film industry or you say like the creative side of things, because it feels like it's so many different things.
Yeah, it feels quite broad sometimes.
Especially when you live in the north and you're just like, well, to make a living out of this, you have to diversify and kind of do quite a few different things. Yeah, so I started with photography, and then I went and I started working for a production company, and from there I learned so many different things. They were an excellent company to work for in Fort St. John, and I went from being a photographer to a drone operator, a cinematographer. I now dabble in editing.
Okay.
However, if I can hire someone else to do it, I will.
Editing is a different beast altogether.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's I've been doing a little bit of editing myself, and I'm not particularly ecstatic about it, but it's kind of I find joy, new experiences, even if they're a little painful at the time. So
I'm a really big fan of like the rough cut edits. But as soon as you start getting into the sound design, and as soon as you start getting into like the more final polished side of things, I find myself over obsessing about the tiniest details. And then if you don't have the skills to get that quite right, then I spend way too much time trying to perfect that one thing that I want to get done that nobody except for other filmmakers or creatives are even going to notice, and that most clients would be like, oh, I didn't even realize if you gave it to them without that detail, wouldn't have affected how they felt about their product. So I was just like, I got to learn how to balance what actually matters to the client and what matters to my own self on like the quality of the product that I want to be putting out. But
right.
That's why I don't like doing those like finer edits, because I could spend years working on the one thing and be like, it's not done, actually.
Yeah, there's a brilliant quote that I picked up from a Cakewalk from Cakewalk, which is like a audio DAW, digital audio workstation. But when I was trying to export something, it said projects aren't finished, or an artist doesn't finish a project. It just they just release them, or really. What was it?
That sounds pretty accurate. They never finished.
It was like
they just
relinquished.
Abandoned.
Abandoned.
They never. Art is not perfected. It's abandoned.
Oh, I like that. Art is not perfected. It is abandoned.
And
I like that. That's so apt.
My one friend has a poster in his office to get him inspiration. Is just like a finished, like a done product, a delivered product is a good product. Because there's so many people out there who will do something and maybe they'll spend their own time to do the thing. And it's just a fun project. And then they'll deem it not good enough to put out into the world. But people typically had spent time on that project and they were just like, well, it's not the level, it's not the quality I want it to be at, because I'm comparing it to the other people who are in my area. It's just like, but hear me out. If it never gets out there and nobody gets to enjoy it, then what was even the point? So a done project, a delivered project is a good project.
That's so true.
Yeah, and he has that
makes a
right
lot of
next
sense.
to his computer screen, because he's just like, just got to get her done.
Yeah. I believe the last piece of music that I actually finished, and it's only been a handful of pieces, honestly, that I've actually considered finished, I think I wrote something like, if it ain't broke, like the final copy before I sent it out was like, if it's not broke, because there's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing to fix. I have to send it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, to this day I still have nightmares like, oh, I didn't like exactly how I EQ'd this, or I didn't like exactly how I played that part, but it's...
But, you know, and that's, I think, the fun part about art is it's those little tiny imperfections that kind of make something yours and kind of make something beautiful. Because if everything, like, the worst part about a lot of movies nowadays, you know, with the 12, you know, the 24, the 34K, I know we're not there, but I'm being a little bit dramatic because it's just like TVs
Next
don't
year.
even run at that high level of resolution. So it's like, what's the point? But people are like, it looks weird now. Like, what happened to the filmmaking back in the 80s where, like, you feel like everything, like, it's just, like, you're never thrown out of the movie. You're just, like, you're in it. You're just like, yeah. And then you're watching these newer movies, and they're fantastic. Great actors, great budgets, like, all these different things. But everything is so clean, so crisp, so smooth that everyone's just like, well, it was okay. You know? Because you're just like, whoa, they had, like, you know, however big the budget was. But then there's no imperfections. It's just like, that's not human, and it's weird, and it's odd, and then you notice that. You're just like, there's nothing wrong with this? Like, I don't like it
that
as
might
much.
be the problem.
Yeah.
That's what's wrong with it. There's nothing
There's
nothing human about it.
personality to it.
Yeah,
It's
personality.
just scripted, which is funny, because, you know, you want to follow your stuff. You want to nail it. But if you nail everything, well...
Yeah, I think... the drummer of Rush had that issue, is that he practiced so much, he's so precise that he sounds like a robot when he plays, and it becomes like it doesn't sound right, even though he's hitting every tom, every cymbal, every kick exactly when it needs to be hit. But there's no like difference in, like, you know, his left hand to his right hand. It's all perfect.
Yeah. Which is fine too, but, you know, again, it's a little odd sometimes.
Okay, so as a filmmaker, how do you go about your process? Or, like, what's your when I say filmmaker, what's kind of your, like, specialty in film? Is it commercial work? Is it like short film?
My specialty, honestly, would probably be... When I worked for the production company, I was mostly a drone operator. So that's kind of what I specialized in for cinematography, was just drone stuff. And so it was always just a piece of the puzzle. It was never the whole thing. And I've worked on a few projects solo, and there was a few times where I did things all on my own. But now that I've relocated to a new city, so I'm no longer working with that production company. And now that I'm on my own, it's mostly been bigger projects that actually aren't done yet. So working on a documentary right now and working on a film. But as a cinematographer, like, the thing that I love the most that I wish that I could do more often is, like, music videos. So kind of that style of filming. I love the corporate stuff, you know, but music videos, just like wedding videos, brings so much joy to my soul. And I don't know if it's the slower motion or if it's just, like, a lot of the audio isn't used on the actual day. Like, you're bringing audio in, you're doing all that kind of stuff, but it feels so separate, but it also feels very personal. Like, when you're doing something for a local band and you're putting together a music video, and we're in a small town, we're in small communities, they care deeply about their art. And so to hear all the different ideas and all the prospects, they were like, oh, I've been thinking about doing this for years, you know, and I just never had the gear or the time or the equipment, or the whatever, insert here. And then you get to listen to this person talk about their favorite thing, and you get to help make that become a reality for them. So when I'm working on projects like that, I have a lot more fun, and I like to do those projects more. So then I started leaning more towards wedding photography and wedding videos, because people love. And music videos, I think, are just my favorite thing to do of all filmmaking.
That's Yeah, that sounds really fun, actually, like bringing someone else's, let's say, vision to life for the, like, maybe the first time, if someone that's been thinking about doing that for like the last 10, 15 years.
It is fun.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I wish I had people that I could make a vision for and it was fun to do. I'm just making unfun visions for people that may or may not be in the room at this moment in time.
Well, and it's weird because because I do this full time and I have to find a balance between things that I love and things that bring in money and things that I'm good at, because I don't want to go out and do something half. And so even commercials, I enjoy commercials. If they're 30 seconds, 35 seconds or less, I've done some onboarding videos. I've done some safety videos, and those ones are all quite stiff. And a lot of the time, the person who's in front of the camera doesn't want to be in front of the camera. And then you have to kind of work with them for a while to get them kind of loosened up and a little bit more casual. And
I can relate to that.
Yeah, because it's difficult. It's so wild how confident some people are, thinking like, I can go in front of a camera and I can do these things because I've done public speaking.
Yeah.
And then you get in front of a camera and you look down the barrel of the lens and
it doesn't blink.
It does not blink. It stares you down and you start slurring. You forget exactly what you wrote down. I love teleprompters, so I bring a teleprompter with me like anytime I'm filming and I don't know the level of the person's skills in front of a camera.
Okay.
Because as soon as they have their stuff written down, and I do warn them, I'm like, make sure you have it all here, email it to me before, this is all the prep that you would do. So when they're actually in front of the camera, if they're not doing as well as they'd hoped, teleprompter ain't no thing. We can take that as slow as you want to. We can make this as easy as it needs to be. Like, there's no need to be a hero. You don't have to have everything memorized.
Yeah, teleprompter. I should probably have a teleprompter for all of my questions. I think that would be very nice.
The classic is just write it on your wrist or your arm.
Yes,
and then
I sweat too much as soon as the camera looks at me.
The arm, hands, never.
Right.
But the arm, absolutely. Yeah.
I'll be right back. No. Well, that's really interesting. Oh, what's okay. What does the process look like when you're making a music video?
Well, you get the song. Correction. You contact the band.
Okay.
And you say, I want to make a music video for you. And they say, well, I don't have it in the budget. And you say, no problem at all. Do it for free. Because if you've never done one before, you got to do at least one for free. Well, at least that's the way I look at it. I think even professionals, like, you go out there, you just find someone that you really connect with, a song that you really enjoy from a local band. You get together, you do something.
Everybody likes free.
Everyone loves free. And then you make it the best that you possibly can. And the way that I look at videos is there's always going to be two storylines. And this makes it easier for me to cut between. So you have your one storyline that has nothing to do with the band, typically, and then you have your one where you have the band. And this allows you to cut between. And music video, let's say, is like about 2 minutes long, 2.5 minutes long. So your shoot altogether, depending on the storyline, should take roughly 4 to 5 hours on your main storyline. And then your band one, they just have to play the song over probably about 4 to 6 times for you to kind of nail what you want to do and get your close-ups and things like that. So a music video, in my opinion, from like somebody who's just shooting on their own, can be done in a weekend if you want to. So it's actually pretty low prep. And other than that, you just got to develop your story. So I'll use the one that I have on my YouTube, for example. It was a very fun song about chopping wood. Very easy. I already know what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to have people around a bunch of wood that needs to be chopped, and they're going to chop that wood.
Chopping wood. If you hit it wrong, it takes so long.
There's going to be beer involved. There's going to be trucks involved. Afterwards, we're going to light that fire.
like a party to me.
those logs on fire, and that's kind of how you do it. You cut it in between. Well, that's how I approach it, is you always want two different things to be cutting back and forth between that have nothing to do with each other.
Okay.
So storyline, band, because the bands work pretty hard. Now, if you're going to do just the band, that takes a lot more intentional planning, because you don't want to get bored. You want to keep everyone's attention, and
Right.
so you want to be able to do that in a fun way. Like, there's those weird videos, where they walk across bananas, and they that's a video that I've seen recently. Excellent video. And there's just really fun ways that you can do it, but the creativity just never ends with music videos, because you can have something that has nothing to do with the video, and you can be filming it. So you just gotta think what suits this band, their vibe,
Okay.
like all the different things, pitch it to them. And then if they're like, yeah, absolutely, you're good to go. That's how I do it, because
Okay.
I don't typically do those ones for money. I just do them for fun as like a side thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that does sound kind of fun. Honestly, I don't.
No pressure. You just like hang out.
Yeah, just to hang out with a bunch of people that like to make music.
You're working typically with people who are excellent with sound. So
That would be a treat, because then at least one person would know something about sound.
they also know how to repeat, because they understand getting the right shot matters, or getting the right take matters. So you don't have to really explain some of those things that you typically do to people outside of the industry, because they kind of get it already.
Right. Yeah. If you're just interviewing a business owner for their advert, like, it might take a little coercion to get them to actually like stop, go back to that thing that they messed up, and like actually give you like a clean, nice take that you can actually put on camera.
One thing that I would say is you have to, if you're just starting out with doing these things, a bad habit to avoid is saying just one more. Don't say just one more. It's never just one more. And if people aren't in the industry, that actually can be very frustrating for a lot of people. You have to say like reset, you have to say, we're going to try this a few more times, guys, until you're confident. You're like, that was the one. And then, you could say, I want one for safety, but just don't say just one more. Because I've worked with a few filmmakers and a few like cinematographers, and they were just like, just one more, guys, just one more. And then by the sixth one more, you're just like, all right, morale is dropping and people are frustrated. Like, we need to make sure that we're nailing this. And yeah, so.
Yeah, I totally get that. I've been one more a few times.
Not to call people out,
First of all, I've done it to myself, because when I'm like recording music, I don't know what it is, but I'll practice. I'll practice like on guitar, because I fancy myself a bit of a guitar player. I'll play the thing like a dozen times just to the backtrack, or I'll just practice it on my own, And I have a relatively good command of like tempo, and then as soon as I press record, everything leaves my body, and I'm just, and then I, get kind of struggle through halfway, and I'm like, just one more. No, I totally have this, was one more. And then it's like 25 minutes later, a hot bath. I come back. Oh, okay, one more. No.
Can I ask you, do you hit record at the beginning of every song? And do you stop at the end? Like, if you mess up and you're 30 seconds in, do you stop recording?
If I'm in the middle, let's say I'm doing like a 16 bar like blues groove or something. If if like 8 bars in I mess up, unless I think it's so unrecoverable that I won't be able to make anything else from it, yeah, I'll stop. But I like to just keep going. Because sometimes there's like more creativity, and like there's a little bit of a mess up, but maybe something good will come out of it. Unless I'm really frustrated and I'm at like 16th one more, then I mess up, hit that pause button, go back, delete, try it again. Because I'm very self-destructive, I guess you could say. I like to be a bit of a perfectionist, and I know I'm only human, so it's not really possible.
Yeah. I always like recommend to the musicians, I'm just like, you hit record and then you play your song 3 to 4 times from start to finish without hitting the pause button, because I always find when I'm like editing things, it's like the third or fourth one or the second one, and they just kind of forget about the record button. For some people who record a song and then they stop, set up again, and then hit record, there's something about the nerves of hitting that record button, you know? So I was just like, if you have the space, just do 3 or 4 from start to finish. And I've always found that calms people down a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I see the reason behind that. I might have to give that a try. I think that might have been the big great break. That might have been the big breakthrough that I need. Pardon me, I need a sip of my magical liquid.
Absolutely.
It's the secret cup.
For video production, is there any gear that you like to use?
Yeah. I use Blackmagic mostly. I also use so I have a film camera, picture film, and I use Nikon. I found that their old school cameras are incredible. Nothing against like any of the old guys there, but that's the one that I use. And then I use Canon for a lot of my photography. I really like their color space. Like, I'm a big fan of theirs. I actually just bought myself an R5. Really excited for that guy to come in. And then I use DaVinci Resolve for editing. And I really love their setup. So like the Blackmagic and DaVinci, I guess, is where I lean to when it comes to video and when it comes to editing on the production side of things. And with photography, I kind of stick with Canon, Lightroom, Adobe, things like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you're a well-rounded creator that just does everything. So it's hard to give one answer because there's so many right answers. So Blackmagic, I'm not familiar with that, although I'm not really familiar with the video recording side of production. That's a fairly good brand, like an expensive brand, I mean?
I'd say that it's very competitive. Like, I would put it kind of close to like DJI, where like they do make stuff that is accessible if you're just getting into this business. And I would say that they have really taken a lot of feedback from their users and then developed their cameras to best suit them. So I'm not doing big rodeos. Like, I'm not doing all these things on my own. I'm a freelancer who typically, if I am going for a production company, I'll use their equipment. However, when I'm doing my own projects, I'll use my equipment. And so it does really well for storage for my own purposes as a smaller company. Being able to shoot with certain equipment and be able to store it well and work with it well is really important to me, to be able to turn around. So Blackmagic Raw, just the footage itself is very easy to use and very, compared to other cameras, it is a smaller file format, but you don't lose any of the information. So it's really nice.
So it's still compressed in some manner, but it's still you're not losing any data in that process.
Mm-hmm. It's really nice. I really like it. I'm biased. I haven't used a lot of other stuff. Like, I've used C200s like for Canons and different things like that. I've worked with some Red cameras, all these different things, all for other production companies because I can't afford that. But
who can? No one.
It's crazy. But it's been super fun. But those files are too large. Like, for what I'm doing, I want to have the most cost-effective setup so that not only my product can be very, very accessible to small, like, mom and pop shops, because that's kind of who I cater to. It's easier for me to do those turnarounds. So when I'm doing a wedding a week or something like that, and I'm doing a video and I'm wanting to turn around and most of my stuff is you get your things within 2 weeks. That's kind of my delivery timeline. If it's a larger project, it'll take months, obviously, but for the most part, like my smaller videos, I try to turn them around in 2 weeks if the quality is kept. And that's why I go with that product. I am sure Sony, I am sure Canon all have their different video formats that are excellent. This is just the one that I started using at the beginning.
Okay.
And the camera, is the one you typically go with. So same with Blackmagic. I never went into Premiere Pro. Like, I did briefly just to see how it was. But like when you start using a certain editing platform and you're familiar with it and it makes sense to you and it's cost effective and it does everything that you need it to do, why would I look elsewhere?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
I didn't even have to do research. I started working for a company.
And then
They had
were using it.
Blackmagic. That's what they were using. They were using DaVinci Resolve. Well, they were using Premiere Pro. By the time I was editing, they were using DaVinci. And I was like, it's never been an issue. It's never gone wrong for me. So I'm like loyal to those brands just simply because I've never had an issue with them.
Yeah, why would you if it's not broke? I know this is a horrible saying, but if it's not broke, why fix it?
And I'm not really a gearhead. So when people ask about the new up and coming like lenses and camera bodies and all these things, and I'm like, no, if I don't need anything else, I'm not going to be looking for the next thing because that'll never end. Technology is constantly developing.
That's so true.
Always going to be something better, something newer, something faster. But do I need that to be successful in my business? And if the answer is no, then I'm like, don't even look, Leanne, because we can't put it on the wish list.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I sort of like being a little bit of a gearhead. I kind of like getting nerdy with all the like the different specs and whatnot. But I try to not let my my eyeballs get bigger than my wallet.
It's hard.
It is. I did make an exception for that Zoom F6. It was the first generation. I know Grady's kind of standing in front of it right now. But the recorder that's got the XLRs plugged into it, it was the first of its kind to do 32 floating point.
Okay.
So you can yell into the mic, and even if it clips on our side, yeah, if you give a good belch, like I'll capture it crystal clear. So yeah, floating point, like it just seems so good because a lot of the stuff that we did for Hard Reset and Shadows is also quite a lot like this that when we're filming, it's very dynamic. There's a lot of like there was a lot of whispers and then shouting and like very boisterousness, and I was always fighting with trying to make sure that I wasn't clipping, right? I wasn't losing because I'm the sound guy. I don't think I said that. But I'm typically the sound recorder, and when, I have so much things to deal with like I have to like do a little dance with my thumb trying to turn the recorder down or turn it back up so I hear something or don't hear it, and I felt like I was distracting myself too much from recording the sound itself. But with this, I don't know. Short of throwing it into a jet engine, I don't think I'm ever gonna have a problem with it. It was very expensive. It was like $800-900 Canadian. But for what we're doing, like I'm never gonna need to upgrade this thing. I might replace it in like 10 years, but I don't think it'll ever need an upgrade.
Yeah. I love that. And most of the equipment I buy, I'm just like, I'm going to buy a little bit above what I need. And then hopefully I don't have to be replacing it, in 4 years. But you can't predict the future. You don't know exactly what you're going to be getting into. And as you start to develop and like do different things, you might need more. But
right.
Yeah.
Or you never know if I apologize. You never know if someone's going to drop the microphone or, forget to put a thing around the cable. But you never know if like yours going to get abused or, maybe it rains, your Pelican case gets a crack in it and then fills with water. I do try to make sure that I'm not like over, like if I'm buying something and like it has like maybe 1% of the features I'm actually interested in, I can no longer be interested in that because it just seems so over the top. Mm-hmm. Like if I can get away with a Canon camera, why am I buying a Red
100%.
or Sony?
I agree.
Is there other camera brand names? That's the only ones I know. And I think you said them all.
Yeah. For video, I'm sure that there's a few more, once your budget gets a little bit higher.
Right. Yeah.
Prestigious brands, perhaps, but yeah.
What inspires you? First of all, what inspires you to do this, and what are your inspirations within the field?
Fantastic question. Thank you for that question. It's weird because when you get into this, when you love this, you start because you want to make something really cool. And then you're like, I got to make money. And so then it becomes a little bit of a balance between making something that you're super proud of and also eating food. And so
food's overrated.
A big inspiration for me is just being able to eat.
Uh-huh.
And so if I'm honest, it puts a lot of pressure on me. Like, I actually started working with somebody recently, and we're kind of partnering. I've loved having somebody with me, because anytime that I feel that kind of slow jog, like when you do this full time and you just have to keep trying to be more creative and you want to keep being fresh, which is impossible. It feels like in some cases, like you're doing a commercial for a company and you're just like, well, a lot of commercials have been done, and it's almost impossible to feel that freshness in some cases, unless you are getting that inspiration from that person. So the more inspiring or the more enthusiastic the customer I'm working with, I do feel that I have more energy and I have more ideas, and I'm able to perform a lot better because they want this as well. And that has been a big inspiration. So I now have a business model that I try to work with people who actually want this product, which sounds silly, but when it comes to photography and video, it is a product. And some people know that it's worth something, and some people don't. And so for the people who don't value it as high as they should when they're trying to utilize it as a tool, either for their business or for their personal life, I find those types, like that group of people, more difficult to be creative with, because, they're like, let's make this thing, but I'm not too sure why. And you have to educate them more on like how you're going to use this product, all these different things.
Yeah,
but
how you're not selling them something, you're giving them like value.
Exactly. And when you work with those customers, those clients, it's a lot easier to find that inspiration, because it feels weird to be like, oh, a love story, when you're talking to a client and you ask them, like, how'd you meet? And it's not just to get to know them or to break the ice. It's also to find an inspiration for you to tailor something specifically for that person. If every single wedding that you do, I'm just going to use wedding photography as an example. If every single wedding that you do looks exactly the same, that's insane to me, because every single couple is unique, and your editing style, your shooting style, I think needs to reflect that. That's my personal opinion. I know some people like kind of just want that one thing. They want consistency in their life. They're like, I want to go to this person and I want them to deliver the exact same thing that they've delivered a bunch of times. And that brings them comfort. But for me, it's the individuality in the people that I'm working with. And that's where I get inspiration from, is the people I work with, whether it's like coworkers or whether it's clients.
Wow. Oh, that's like the best way. That's the best place to draw inspiration from, really. Like the people that you're trying to make some money, but you are trying to help people at the end of the day. What advice would you give someone new that's coming into this into this field of like filmmaking, or just being like creative in some way?
Well, it's odd, because when you're living in a small town and you don't have as much available to you when it comes to creatives, I think a lot of people would be like, don't take on too much. But what helped me was getting involved with the community and meeting people. So create a network of people. And if you don't come from a creative area or background, or all your friends aren't as creative, seek those people out. go to the theater, see what film stuff is happening in your town. Again, reach out to a band, start something. You have to do it. Like, I've been to a lot of leadership conferences as a camera operator, just following someone's head as they speak. And the main thing that I got from all of those conferences is just do the thing. If you have an idea, do it. If you then see it and it's just like the quality is 10,000 times worse than you thought it was going to be, because you're just starting and it's going to be bad, still do the thing. Show your friends. You don't have to post everything, but show people. Get some feedback. If they're like, oh, that was really long, shorten your stuff up. Go out, make the mistakes, do the thing. And it's weird because you, in a smaller town, I would say, do everything. Be bad at everything and then start to learn what you like. Because if you're going to do this as a business, if you're going to actually have to go out there and make a go at this full time, then you're going to have to know what you're good at, you're going to have to know what you're weak at, and you're going to have to be honest about it. So figure that out. That's the first thing. The sooner you can figure that stuff out, I think the better and more successful you will be in the future. I was lucky enough to work with a crew of absolutely brilliant people, and I feel like I was elevated much higher than what I currently was. And it was because my attitude was enthusiastic. Never was there a job too small for me to do. You want me to get you a coffee? I'll get you a coffee. You want me to sweep this up? I'll sweep this up. You want me to wash a wall so that this video is better? I'll wash this wall. You want me to hide in the back of a truck holding audio just so that you can get the sound that you want? Do those things. But that would be my advice for anybody who's like just getting into the industry is create your network, get your friends, because you're not going to be able to do this successfully long-term on your own. You're going to have to derive some type of support, like support system, so that you can, when you are struggling and when you're having a bad time and when you inevitably format all the footage from a day's shoot and you want to do the forever eat, you can call your buddy and you can say, this just happened to me. And they could be like, and you could collectively throw up, figure out a game plan, and then go from there. But if you're doing it professionally, that would be my advice is fail hard and fast quick when it is jobs that are not being paid for. Like when you're just going out there and you're doing it yourself, develop your stuff. Like
learn from your mistakes while you can afford to.
Are you good at audio? Do you know if you're good at audio? Do you know what equipment you need? Like those kinds of things. Just get out there, start doing it, and then you're like, oh, actually, I do need this light, or I do need this thing, and figure that out if you're doing it full time.
Right. Oh, that's great. I'm really glad I managed to ask that question because that's great advice. That's great advice. Hey, do we know anyone that I can start working with that would actually knows what they're doing?
No one in this room. No, minus Leanne.
Are you guys hiring?
I work for myself. I'm a freelancer.
So are you hiring?
No. No. Nope.
Not me. Okay.
Oh, are you? It's fine.
The thing is, I work with other freelancers now. That has been a game changer for me. Before working for a production company and getting the hourly going in and doing a hard grind, it was very, it was only productive if the team was also as enthusiastic about that job. But when you have to take every single job that comes in, you can only get so excited about rocks so many times before you're like, I can't make that rock look cool. Without, and you can make it look cool and you complain a little bit about it and then you have to realize you're like, I have the coolest job in the world. I love what I do. And everybody else is jealous that I get to go fly drones and get paid. So if I complain about my job to anyone, they're just like, shut up. We hate you. And then you kind of bring yourself back to reality and be like, this rock is pretty cool. And I'm going to shoot it like it's a cool rock. But
that's also fantastic advice.
Like what you do. If you don't like this job, like if this is an industry you don't like, don't do it. But I feel like, people already know that in this day and age. Don't do what you hate, do what you love. But
yeah, I think I heard something about you can fail at something you don't want to do, so you might as well try what you want.
Isn't that the best thing to say to anybody who's editing is just fix it in post? Don't worry about the audio. Don't worry about the video. Don't worry about the actor's performance. Don't even record. Just fix it in post.
That's what I'd love to say to people who are shooting when I'm not. We'll just fix it in post.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, and when you're the one who's fixing it in post, you're just like, or, let's just get it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that feeling. So, I had another. I swear I had a good question like 10 minutes ago.
I'm just kidding.
You were saying about finding people like in theater class or something. Do you think it's like really important that we have like arts programs and stuff in school, like in public schools, for kids that want to maybe do that, explore? Like even if they don't want to do it by the end of it, they'll know.
I'd love to give you this answer. It's a great answer. Thank you for this question. This question. I never actually went to school past like elementary school. So it's difficult sometimes. I think yes. Like I in grade, because I made it through partially with middle school. And I did do drama. And I think it is important. But I think that it is important to kind of do it as a career. Like, I think that there's more leadership classes and more entrepreneur classes that I think would be just as beneficial as doing more artistic things. Because having these things available for free while you're younger is incredible and instrumental. Learning how to be on a stage, getting to participate in possibly painting classes, drawing classes are awesome. But how do you make that into a sustainable career? Because I think school is what you're doing to prep for real life. And so if I would love to see anything in schools, it would be how do you do this as a career? And so it's great that you can draw. It's great that you can sing. It's great that you can, recite Shakespeare and stuff like that. But how are you going to do this and make a living out of it? Or how do you have it as a successful hobby? Because you can be playing baseball and that's a very healthy thing. It's very active. It's very social. I mean, you might never go professional. You just do it in your town league. But having those stepping stones, how are you going to be a part of theater outside of school? Most theater kids know they go to the local theater and they do the performance, they're already in. But how do you do that successfully?
Right.
How do you get into that if you're coming to a new town? I don't know. I didn't go into high school. I don't know what they had or how well it was done. But not very many of my friends who took photography in school became photographers. And not very many of my friends who did painting or drawing do that professionally, even with like graphic design. And I know that they're kind of switching how everything is done and updating school like programs, things like that. But theater, things like that, have some more leadership courses, some more entrepreneur courses on how to do this full time.
Yeah, that's not even about this. Like, if you have good leadership skills and all that stuff, and you're actually prepared, it doesn't matter what field you go into, as long as you can make some sort of career living out of it.
There's base knowledge that you need to know to be a functioning human being in society, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But
like how to do my taxes.
How do you utilize that in the real world? I think would be lovely. Right towards the taxes thing, because I hear quite often that that's not in high school.
No,
and it should be.
When I was in high school, back in like 2009 to 2011, 2010, because I didn't do the last year. That's a long story. They had like a couple of music classes. They had some art stuff, and I think they've been pulling that away. I might get a fact check here. Does the high school even have a music class still? Or did they remove that? That's horrible. That was like the best time of my life. Was actually like playing music. That's how I, met people.
There's not one at the middle school either anymore.
Well, and I guess in school too, like when you're in math class, you're not going to be creating a lot of friends that way. But when you go into music class,
well, you shouldn't be creating friends in math class. Some of us were.
I guess like.
I think I was drumming in math class. I was that kid that's going.
Yeah.
Let's go to AD.
Maybe. I was just Jory Jorgensen in my spare time.
I think it's pretty important, and there are other programs outside of school too. Like even with the Army Cadet program, you have pipes and drums, and you have different military bands that you can be a part of. And there are different social, and even if this is in school, school definitely should have arts programs. How are you supposed to find what you like in life if you don't experience it younger on?
Yeah.
Just like it's as important to me as science is. Like, you need to have a well-balanced kind of, and they kind of work together, like music. If you really look at it and you break it down, there's lots of math and there's lots of numbers.
There's a lot of physics. I sort of maybe lied a minute ago where I wasn't a physicist, because sound is all waveforms reflecting and being absorbed. Do you have any? I think as we're coming to a close on this interview, I think due to just time's sake, because this has been very informative. I had a lot of fun. I don't know about you. I hope you did too.
I had fun.
Woo! 1 in a row. No. It's the self-deprecating humor that gets me through the day. Mm-hmm. Do you have any closing thoughts about anything we were talking about that maybe you, after having a couple of minutes or more to think about it, you would like to just kind of clarify or add a little bit more?
Absolutely. I would say, my final thing would be ask for help and put yourself out there. And you're going to have a lot of really good results, like if you do that, because everyone needs help every now and then. And when you're able to be open and honest about that and a little vulnerable about the fact that you might not be the best at everything, which is pretty common.
Yeah, more often than not, you're not going to be the very best at something.
And always be learning. And make sure that you reach out to the people who have always been there for you, who help you out, who inspire you, especially your friends, your filmmaking friends, and just say thanks, because it's about the community. I feel like I've stayed in this industry for the people that I've met, yourself included, like your guys' entire team. Like,
right.
If you don't go out and put yourself out there, you're not going to meet these unique, incredible people. And when you live in smaller communities, sometimes that means driving a little bit so that you can spend some time with like-minded individuals.
Which I really appreciate. You drove all the way from Grand Prairie today with honestly very little notice, because I kind of procrastinated a little bit. I was like, oh, I gotta ask, but I don't know what to say. And then like was it a week ago or something? I was like, hey, I'm doing a podcast. I'd like to fit you a week from now. Yeah. Thank you again for coming all this way and suffering with me.
It's been a genuine pleasure. Yeah. And thank you so much for having me. And
it's been an absolute pleasure.
We'll have a compliment off after this.
Yeah, eh? And we'll go get some.
We'll
go get some Timbs and some bits, eh?
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah.
Oh, I think she needs me out there. Oh, I'm getting a little too far.
I was gonna say my hands are starting to sweat now, so we have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, thank you. You can, by the way, this is yours to take.
I can have this?
Yes.
You
need
Breaks it immediately. I'm so. Oh, shit. Sorry.
Sorry. That's ours. But everything else, yeah, that side's yours.
I'm just gonna take it and go.
Your excitement, I think, is genuine enough that it's okay.
Yeah. Well, what do you?
Like, those are so nice, eh?